Night Magic Modern event. Once again, your casters, Edward Teague and Patrick Cosgrove.
Good evening, everybody. We were having some technical difficulties. Sorry about being late.
We're going to go ahead and get started right now with round one. Jake D playing Thopter Whir versus Blaine playing Vannifar Pod. We've seen Jake before. He plays a lot of combo decks. And Whir, I like Whir. What do you think of Whir?
I've always thought it was slightly overrated.
He's only saying this because he knows I'm an artificer at heart.
Vannifar Pod coming out quick. Got a Voice of Resurgence and Birds out on the field. Due to the glare, I can't see what our Artifice player threw down first. My goodness, those are some shiny sleeves.
There's a bit of a glare going on with those cards. But I do believe those are two different blue-black lands, and that's going to be... I think that's Battle. Yep, that's Battle at the Bridge. Are you familiar with the card? Oh, it was a cool little card. I actually really liked it. Yeah, Battle at the Bridge was a little improvised card that came out of Kaladesh. Really thematic because it's Tezzeret, one of my favorite planeswalkers, going at somebody with this little twisty metal trick, and it's just a -X, gain X life.
That's really good.
Yeah, it's really good, especially in a deck that can pump out a lot of artifacts.
Yeah, with improvise on there, that really makes it worthwhile. As to the two decks that we're seeing here this evening, Vannifar Pod is actually very interesting. We've seen it here on the stream before. I don't believe Blaine was playing it.
No, it was no pun intended here, but it was actually Lane Mays, not Blaine.
Gotcha. Another Battle of the Bridge coming out?
I'm coming out for 2.
I do not know what creature that is.
Whatever it was, it apparently had flash. Because, obviously, Battle of the Bridge is a sorcery. They're not tracking their life total, though, and that is something that needs to be fixed.
I do believe the iPad is currently out of commission.
Ah, okay. So we apologize. We're not going to be able to track the life totals for a little bit. But...
I see at least one. It looks like Jake D is at 17. Goes down to 16 for fetching. Really explosive board state by Blaine here, by the way. He has laid something down every turn and on one that wasn't his turn. Very impressive. Good stuff. Stuck at 2 mana, though. Not really where you want to be in a creature-based combo deck like Vannifar Pod. You kind of want to have a little more gas to go off of than just 2 green, especially after losing his mana dork that he had out. Not a solid place to be. Thopter Foundry coming out. Thopter Foundry being one of the core pieces of this deck. What is that?
That's a damping sphere.
Is that a damping sphere?
That is a damping sphere. Trust me to suddenly realize what an artifact is. But I'm going to go and bring up Thopter Foundry because it is one of my favorite cards printed. It's unique in many different ways. Thopter Foundry, of course, a 2-drop Esper artifact that pay 1 mana, sacrifice a non-token artifact, create a 1/1 blue flying Thopter artifact creature token, and gain a life.
The blue is actually relatively important. They're unique that way. Pithing Needle coming out. Don't know what he's naming.
My guess would be to name Vannifar. Vannifar, for those who don't know, we're going to go ahead and pull it up real fast. We've seen the deck on this stream before. Of course.
You're not typing. Prime Speaker Vannifar.
You got to do it in order.
Damage coming through.
That art did, in fact, go through properly. Vannifar is the new birthing pod, as it were, right? And what a good birthing pod, too, to be honest, because no other cost than just the tap. If you can just untap it, it's infinite. And that is what the combo is based on, an infinite loop to get out kill conditions.
I believe we've got Knights of Autumn coming down. If you would like to search for that real quick, out of the newer Ravnica sets.
Is it Knights of Autumn?
Mm-hmm.
Knight of Autumn. Always an interesting thing with the militant Slesna coming out of Ravnica. A Dryad Knight.
Great little card, though.
I mean, an extremely versatile form of Reclamation Sage. Because it becomes a 3/2 for 3, or you gain 4 life, or destroy an artifact.
And he did destroy Pithing Needle. That was his choice. The Ravnica plane of Ravnica always brings us interesting things when it comes to creatures, especially in green and white. It's also where we got Voice of Resurgence, for example.
We see he throws it in front of the Knight of Autumn because it didn't buff itself. It's a 2/1. Goes ahead and trades 1 for 1. We also saw that when the Pithing Needle was targeted, Jake D just instantly turned it into a Thopter, gaining that life. Little resource reallocation. We see Vannifar on the field right now, so that is a problem. Spent his mana to gain a life and a Thopter. Question is, does Jake have what he needs in order to make this happen?
Board wipe here wouldn't hurt. Vannifar is scary. Like she's not a bad creature just all around. Her ability, aside from things, even if you just need to beat somebody to submission, she can do it. The only problem is she has no built-in protection, in my opinion. No hexproof, no.
We're seeing something being improvised right now. Assume we're seeing something being improvised. There, of course, is
There's
the
Whir
Whir
of Invention
coming out. Whir of Invention came out in Kaladesh?
I think so, yeah. Fantastic card.
Effectively, just completely replace Fabricate in every artifact deck ever.
Oh, it goes to the battlefield instead of hand, so yeah.
And the fact that, yes, it's 3 hard blue, but after that, your artifacts are paying for it. So, the only other effect we ever saw like this was the Tezzeret the Seeker from way back
now,
when.
what did he grab? Not familiar with what that is.
See, it almost looks like an extraplanar lens, but I don't think it's extraplanar lens.
I'm going to go ahead and check that for you. I'll be right back, ladies and gentlemen.
Looks like we can't remember the name of the creature, but basically a creature O-ring, if I'm not mistaken. Ah, yes. It was Pithing Needle, but with intelligence. I remember now. So he turned off Vannifar Pod with that, but then of course Blaine threw out. I'm not really sure what it was, but it was.
It was the Fun Police. It was the Deputy of Detention.
Yep.
Mr. Fun Police himself.
The creature detention sphere, right?
Fun Police, yeah. In fact, he's holding a detention sphere. Yep. What an ass. What a jerk.
Yeah, definitely. You know, when Deputy Detention came out, like, I wasn't sure how I felt about it, because arguably worse than Detention Sphere. But creatures are more exploitable. It's also a wizard, so there's that exploitation as well. But then you can also think about it, it's 4 more Detention Spheres that you can throw.
Most definitely. In the current standard meta, he has been deemed the Fun Police. That's the moniker he holds now. And for very good reason. We're dealing with a very aggressive standard right now, and exiling anything and making it to where you can't play copies, jerk move. Nobody likes it.
Well, it's not you can't play copies, but it exiles all the copies that are currently on the field. So yeah, play sets just go away.
Yeah. Um, but with a lot of Pheonixes running around and a lot of Lords running around, when Deputy Detention hits the battlefield, it's always...
Halted on contact.
Yeah. Well, if they have it.
True.
There are some decks in Standard that just can't deal with a creature that chooses not to block. Or at least that used to be the case. We're actually seeing a lot more targeted removal in green coming out, I've noticed. A lot of fight cards. A lot of things that give something +1/+1, and then the creature deals damage to another creature.
Not to mention, we're seeing a lot of... you can't really call it permanent hate because it doesn't hate on any permanent, but it hates on specific types of permanents and extremely versatile, and that's in red-black. What is it? The new Bedevil that literally hits an artifact, creature, or planeswalker. Just very powerful. Like, we haven't seen a card quite that versatile in a long time.
Not for that kind of cost. That's definitely the big thing about Bedevil, and a lot of the cards coming out of these new standard sets. That thing hits an artifact, creature, or planeswalker. It's instant speed, 3-drop. And the only real gripe anybody has is the fact that it's 2 black and a red. Ladies and gentlemen, this is just Hero's Downfall.
Yes, this is Hero's Downfall with the ability to hit an artifact.
And Hero's Downfall was busted. Yeah, at least it was in Standard. Now, in Modern, where you have a little more 2-drop removal and stuff like that.
Well, actually, when Hero's Downfall came out, it was a godsend. Because at that time, we just did not have the hate on Planeswalkers yet. We had Dreadbore, right? That had just come out in Return to Ravnica. But that was it. Like, we had 2 cards that simply said, that Planeswalker no longer is a thing. Lightning Bolt was the primary source of Planeswalker removal.
And that'll never get reprinted either, if any of y'all are watching and wondering why we always talk about Lightning Bolts. It'll never get reprinted. It's a common that's $4.
Yes.
Who needs a reprint?
I mean,
Wizards, I know you're watching.
Wizards, reprinted in Modern Horizons. For the love of God, you should have reprinted it in Ultimate Masters.
Yeah. Yeah, no, they want to reprint Unburial Rights again. They should honestly thank God that I don't work at Wizards of the Coast. No card would ever hold value. Every Modern set, we'd get a new run of Path to Exile, a new run of Buried Alive, a new run of Entomb if I really felt like it as a rare, because Modern has to feed Legacy and Vintage.
I mean, to be honest, that was what the old core sets were so good at. Feeding the need for cards that needed to be reprinted, but we didn't want to see them again in a normal set. We wanted to see new stuff in a block. Core sets help fill the gap. And I hope they continue the trend that they did with M19 and they keep giving us core sets because we need core sets.
I agree completely. It's how new players get in the game. We're seeing a Bauble and a Welding Jar come out, some 0-drop artifacts. Always nice to see.
Now, of course, there was a sideboarding phase there. I'm wondering if Welding Jar came in or if it's a staple in the deck.
We didn't really see a whole lot of what the deck could put out. Oh, that's a pretty old land. Look at that.
The unfortunate part about Thopter combo is ultimately if you get out the Thopter and the Sword of the Meek, which is typically what you want to run with Thopter Foundry, and I'll pull that up right now, you have a very strong combination, but it's not foolproof. What you need, and I don't even know if he's running the specific combo. There's a couple things you can do with Thopter Foundry, but what you need is a third card of some kind to basically break time and space. My original attempt at this was playing Time Sieve, but then I didn't like that, and nowadays I run Chief Architect, right?
Yes.
Grand Architect.
Grand Architect.
And that's the specific synergy that we were talking about, why the Thopters being blue is so important. Because then you can just make and tap Thopters instantly for more mana to make more Thopters, to make more mana to make more Thopters.
Also beat Stony Silence because it's Grand Architect tapping them and not the Thopters themselves.
Well, it doesn't stop unfortunately, the Thopter Foundry activations.
Right, but if you already have Thopters out, that's okay.
True. And you can cast an artifact, right? There is one artifact that I know that stops Stony Silence.
Spinavisha.
Alright, so getting back into the game here, it's like, what is that creature?
I do not know what that is. That right there, though, that our Thopter player just cast is Unmoored Memory. Or Unmoored Ego, if you want to go ahead and pull that up for me.
Fantastic little Demir card.
Surgery card. He is doing some deck surgery. $10 says he named Vannifar.
Patrick, I don't want to make that bet. I'm pretty sure he's going to name Vannifar. It is a combo killer, ladies and gentlemen. Just the same as Lost Legacy.
He did not. He named Kiki Jiki. That's the other part of the combo that allows it to go infinite.
Yeah.
This does not actually shut down Vannifar Pod, though. He can still ramp out into gigantic creatures. And he might just be able to aggro this down. I don't know what creature that is, though. I'm going to go check.
Yeah, we see a little deck surgery going on. This is definitely going to affect Blaine's gameplay, but not hitting the Vannifar means that Vannifar, as a mechanic, can still go off. It's just the infinite win condition that it could achieve isn't really there. Makes sense. Now I can see it. It's a mana dork wall, huh? Cracking another land, fetching up some more mana. So what do you think about hitting Kiki Jiki there?
I think it's a good play.
Not hitting Vannifar, but hitting Kiki Jiki?
Yeah, I think there's actually... I think you can still get the combo off without Vannifar, as long as you have Kiki Jiki. I'm not entirely sure, though. I'll have to ask. I don't actually remember the combo well enough to tell you whether or not it could go off. And this could be a different variant. So...
Oh, I'm actually going to pull them up for reference.
Kiki Mirror Breaker. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, Ravnica. Terrible. Or not Ravnica, but Kamigawa just sucked. Nothing good came out of it. Bad block. Sucked so hard that we got to keep reprinting cards that came out of that block.
So we're seeing Battle at the Bridge. Looks like it's going to hit. Can't remember the name of that creature is, but he's casting it out hard. He also has out the Sword of the Meek, and I already mentioned that before. So that is the second part of that combo, is that Sword of the Meek. Now he has to get out his Thopter Foundry, and any loose mana he has just turns into free Thopters, free blockers, free life gain.
You just keep sacrificing the darn sword.
Blaine just didn't have that explosive beginning that he had in game one.
No. The first game for Blaine... Hey, there's Esty. Went really nice, really fast. Got out there, got it moving, got it trucking along. He didn't even need the Vannifar combo. He just beat his opponent down. Which is what I assume he's going to try to do here. Unfortunately, one more mana and a Whir of Invention puts him in a bad spot.
Oh, definitely. Very much so. He doesn't even need the extra mana. He has the mana if he had the Whir right now.
That's right, because you can fabricate.
Yep.
Or improvise, whatever it is.
Then the spare mana would just turn into life and a Thopter.
This is a bad place to be right now. Depending on what we see, that is.
You know, I've mentioned it on the stream before. I've talked about green's utility, and I do want to take a backtrack on that statement just a little bit, because ultimately the biggest utility in green is what it always has been: its ability to mana ramp.
Yeah.
Which, unfortunately, with the advent of cards that kill high tempo, you know, we had Fatal Push that killed basically
Oof.
Termagoyf.
Never mind. Deputy of Detention snags the sword.
Very well done. Very well done.
This kind of evens out our players here. Right now, Jake is missing combo pieces, and Blaine is missing power on the field to attack with. And he needs that. Deputy Detention's a good card, but it's a 1/3. It's not going to put the beat down on anybody anytime soon.
It will over 20 turns.
It will over 20 turns, but hopefully we don't have. Not that we don't want to see a game go all the way to time. I'll admit it, ladies and gentlemen. I do not want to watch a 1/3 beat somebody to death. That's not my idea of a good game of Magic.
Not unless you're the one on the other side of the 1/3.
Even if I was the one throwing a 1/3 at you every turn that was unblocked, I'd apologize every turn.
I don't know. I once completely permanent starved an opponent, hand locked him so he could never draw another card, and then proceeded to beat him to death with a 1/1 skeleton.
That's not very nice, Ed.
He made me mad.
I'm sure you made him mad. And
No, I made him feel bad. There's no room for anger when you're just that overwhelmed.
I guess. Somebody does kind of need to make a play here, though. All the mana in the world doesn't do anything for you if you cannot get damage on the board or a win con on the board somehow, some way, some when. Knight of Autumn coming in. He's going to buff it. Good call. And he swings in with a 1/3. And that brings his opponent down to 18. That is the second point of damage that has been done in this game.
I mean, he cast a Battle on the Bridge earlier. For one, he should have gained life. There is a welding jar.
About B, that is going to be an ensnaring bridge.
That's going to slow down the game. I believe I'm only counting 2 cards in Jake's hand, so that is going to stop the Knight of Autumn. Looks like he bounced his detention sphere.
He bounced his Deputy of Detention and grabbed the ensnaring bridge, yes, replaying it. Rephased it. I think that's a Reveille Arc. I'm going to go check.
Makes sense. See a Noble Hierarch come out. You know, God, though, Noble Hierarch, an expensive, like money-wise, expensive mana dork for this kind of deck. Because you're not using the Exalted trigger.
No.
I mean, no, not really. I was going to say, I guess you can, but you can't really.
Go ahead and pull up Noble Hierarch for us.
Yep.
Because boy howdy, is that a money card. People love that thing.
I actually got one in my box of Ultimate Masters. Like the second most valuable card that I pulled out of it. First being the Liliana that I pulled.
Yeah, no, he doesn't care about that. He cares about the colors. It's just for the colored man at that point. Whir of Invention coming out. Looks like he's going to whir for 2 here.
He's going to whir for 3. He's going to come out with an ensnaring bridge. This is dangerous, though. He needs to understand Deputy of Detention can, if it bounces again.
It will just snag them both.
Yes, so there's danger
And that's
there.
exactly what he's going to do here. Oh, no, he's just going to swing and ping him for 1.
And another Restoration Angel.
The unfortunate part about playing Thopters into this is it's going to be heavy green. And green has the biggest enchantment and artifact hate arsenal out of all the other colors.
It hates that which is unnatural.
Yeah.
Oh,
Thopter Foundry coming out. This is kind of bad news bears. Now, the one thing I will say is he can start sacrificing for artifacts, but there's a lot of power on the board right now. And if that... Oh. Engineered Explosives coming out for 1? What's he going to blow up with 1 mana? It's just the walls?
No, the walls are actually 2 drops. The Noble Hierarch is the one.
And I definitely would have gone with a 3-drop to get your bridge back or something.
Well, the 3-drop unfortunately kills his own bridge.
Tough.
I do have to wonder, though. I understand why he bounced the detention, or the Deputy of Detention, but I don't think I would have done that so quick. You still could have got damage through. You still could have been punching in the face, but you would have locked down that Sword of the Meek. That's extremely important. Jake went and got another ensnaring bridge, and just a little bit too late, you know. We're gonna have to see what Blaine pulls out here. A lot of mana coming out. What is that?
I have no idea. Let me go check.
Fortunately, due to the angle of the camera, it is kind of hard to make out some of the cards. Word of Golly. I'm not actually sure what just happened. It looked like he sacrificed his own ensnaring bridge. And then somehow got the ensnaring bridge that was exiled. I'm really confused how that just happened.
Did he kill Deputy?
No, Deputy's still there.
Alright, I'm gonna go check.
I don't actually understand what just happened. One second, we're gonna go ahead and get a judge ruling on what just happened, because ladies and gentlemen, I'm really confused as to how that actually went to play. I think because the target fizzles, that's what causes the thing to fail. So you are correct. I see what happened then. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, we just got the ruling. It was very confusing, and it's a very niche little situation here. Deputy of detention was bounced, and Blaine basically tried to do what I call sweeping it under the rug. This is something you see with detention sphere back in the day. You would bounce it, and then it would come back into play. You would name the new permanents that are on the field as well as the old one, and sweep them all under the rug, as it were. Jake D sacrificed the ensnaring bridge that was the target, causing the initial target to fail. And we're going to go ahead and rule that. Hey, Patrick, you're the judge here.
I have ruled that since the initial target fizzled, that the and all other permanents with the same name will fizzle as well, because it does seem as though, due to the wording of the card, that one is dependent on the other.
There's a couple of mechanics that have worked like that in the past, although due to the fact that I'm trying to keep up with what's going on at the moment, I can't name off the top of my head. So Jake D just created a small swarm of Thopters. He's going to turn cards sideways, although that one's, yep, he's got called out. That one can't swing, because it is 2. That's going to be 5 damage in the air, and this is basically where Jake D gets to play whatever he wants.
A time sieve wouldn't go amiss here.
I mean, I don't think he has it. I would laugh if he did, because it's basically my old deck. But it looks like Blaine's going to go ahead and scoop it up. Can't stop it. It's just going to go off. At this point, even if he did blow up the combo, just Thopters in the air every turn, it's going to...
Most definitely, unless there was a board wipe in there, along with getting rid of the other combo pieces.
Yeah, see, that's not even the most Thopters you've ever seen on one battlefield.
No. It's not even a lot of Thopters, in my opinion, until a D20 has to get involved.
Got multiple D20s involved.
The second we get one of those dodecahedrons involved, that's when the numbers start to go up.
All right, so we have 14 minutes to get into round 4. Thopters just took round 2 or game 2. So predictions.
I'm thinking Thopters is going to take it simply because Thopters has the tools to make this combo not work, between Pithing Needles, Sorcerer's Spyglass, and just the ability to stay on the board, right? Combo decks need their combo pieces. And unfortunately for Blaine, Jake has a way to get rid of them without actually destroying them, just turning them off. Right.
I'm surprised that Blaine, playing white, doesn't have a Stony Silence.
Yeah, I would like to see a Stony Silence in here. I mean, it basically ruins everybody's day if you're playing artifacts. It shuts down Thopter Foundry.
Very much so.
But it's also kind of a niche card. Not everybody runs it. I mean, it's in a lot of modern sideboards at the professional level, but this is nowhere near professional level. This is a local F&M.
And by local, he means here on the corner of 6th Street in Columbus in
historic downtown Waco.
Nexus Esports, open, 2 p.m. to 2 a.m. every day, Monday through Saturday, except Saturday we open 2 hours earlier, and Sunday we close 4 hours earlier. So if you're in Waco anytime with an event or anything else, 'cause I think there is an event going on again, come by and see us. So we just got a ruling that we're going to extend this round a little bit for these players due to the technical difficulties that we first experienced. That being said, I kind of hope the extension's not necessary simply because we want to get this tournament rolling. I always call it a tournament, the event.
It is a tournament.
I guess it is a tournament.
There is some daggone flipping competition going on here.
Why is there a Vannifar already on the field?
Because that's 4 mana, sir.
That was quick.
That was a quick 4 mana.
They just went like turns 1, 2, and 3 instantly.
That was just turn 2. This is on to turn 3. Yeah, this is turn 3.
God, that was quick.
Well, I mean, green ramps. Also, beautiful unglued forests.
Very much so. There's
Pithing
the
Needle.
Pithing Needle to just turn off Vannifar. I mean, Vannifar is still, what? Power and toughness? A 3-4?
Go ahead and look her up real quick. I think she's a 3-4, though. Yeah, she's got more than enough of a body. She's an ooze. There's a lot of Vannifar to go around, okay? She's 2-4.
That's a shock damage every turn. Can't turn it sideways for one reason, turn it sideways the other. Yep. Eat my shock. Eat my shock.
We've also got an Eternal Witness coming out. Is that an Eternal Witness?
It
No.
is an Eternal Witness, but what did he go get?
I don't think there was anything to get.
Mana coming out. Is that a Tolarian Academy?
I believe so. No, that was
Or Tolarian West.
Yeah, that was a Tolaria West. Yeah, no, this is not a limited, like vintage or legacy event. Ooh.
Also, is that an Inventor's Fair?
It is an Inventor's Fair.
Huh. I didn't like Inventor's Fair.
It's not for everybody.
Now that, I believe, is an Academy.
I do think so.
Academy Ruins, ladies and gentlemen, one of the best artifact supporting lands out there. I can't get one, by the way. If you know anybody who's trying to get rid of one, let me know. Is that Academy Ruins?
I don't think so, actually, now that I see it.
There's a Battle for the Bridge coming out, hitting, yep, Birds of Paradise. Bird's going to die. Life's going to be regained. Balance is going to be achieved. Actually, I'm a little surprised that he cast that at that. He could have killed Vannifar. I guess he wanted to kill the Mana Dork. By the way, he actually casted that for 4 to regain 4 life. This means Vannifar is going to shoot through that much more life. The thing though that I am not seeing right now that I really need to see coming out of Jake is that Unmoored Ego, because he's got to turn this combo off. If he doesn't turn the combo off, he's going to be in trouble.
It's going to be an Eldritch Evolution.
Which is the other way he gets it off. Eldritch Evolution. The spell version of Pod, basically. And with sacrificing Eternal Witness, he goes and gets a 5-drop if I'm...
Correct.
Jiki's a 5-drop?
I don't think so. Looks like he's going to grab a Knight of Autumn.
It doesn't really go up in the CMC, but a useful card. Pop the Pithing Needle.
Popping the Pithing Needle was actually very important because Knight of Autumn is one of the sacrifice targets. You can start the combo off of Knight of Autumn.
I'm actually surprised that he even bothered to swing with Vannifar. I think that was a mistake on his end.
War of Invention for 1.
Pithing Needle.
Gravedigger's Cage.
Almost as good. He's not turning off the combo per se. But this is going to keep those creatures that enter graveyards and come back from...
And libraries.
Yep, and libraries. So he can't Vannifar pot out things. There's a bit of a gathering outside, ladies and gentlemen. It seems that this particular game has drawn a bit of the rest of the participants. This is, of course, the last game of the round. Not just for the two, but for everyone.
Ooze.
Scavenging Ooze. Creature we've recently looked at.
Scooz and a Noble Hierarch. Very good little card.
This is going to be really important for a couple of reasons. First off, this is Graveyard Hate. And Graveyard Hate has a niche use against Thopters because the Sword of the Meek enters. And it's going to be bad news bears for Jake. He's going to have to figure out what he wants to do here.
He has to Battle of the Bridget. Like, Thopter Foundry's out, but you got nothing to sacrifice.
There's an Ensnaring Bridge. Unfortunately, Jake's hand is just full. Or I should say full. Got 2 cards in it. Just about every creature that Blaine has can swing, and what is it? That's 2, 4, 6, 7 damage. That's not light damage.
Mm-mm. And it looks like he's down into the single digits already. He's going to go ahead and exile 2 creatures just to get him through.
Is that going to be enough to kill, though?
No, not quite. He's down to 1.
Wall of Roots coming out. So Inventor's Fair now kicking in, giving him a little bit of extra life. There's the Glimmer Void. Powerful but somewhat risky land to use. And it backfired like dozens of times.
Second Thopter Foundry.
Second Ensnaring Bridge.
One Deputy of Detention here is a real bad day.
Yep. Now, if I remember right, Scavenging Ooze has 2 +1/+1 counters. Does it?
It does.
It's big. And it can't swing. The only creature I think that he has that can swing is the Noble Hierarch. And that's going to be 1 damage through. But, sacrifice that. Make the Thopter. Gain a life. Block. You take the damage?
Looks like it.
Huh. Because that should end up becoming a 2/3 instead of a 1/2. Wait. Yeah. Because Exalted affects yourself, right?
More do you go?
More do you go? This empties the cards in his hands, and if he names Kiki Jiki, that's... I don't know. It. Oh, he's not actually going to hit that. A card, Quasi Pride Mage, right?
Mm-hmm.
So,
Put in Pride Mage.
Solly. Not spelled properly, wizards. Powerful Exalted card.
Cat Wizard.
Cat Wizard. Yeah, I remember running this in Zoo back in the day. Was like just buff spell /
Yet another hate bear. Yeah.
He's going to sacrifice his Inventor's Fair.
Getting a sword.
Out.
If you have some artifact in your, that artifact hate in your hand, right now is the time to play it. He is tapped out.
Oh, definitely. Now, the real danger here, or the real thing for Jake, though, he needs to remember that Scavenging Ooze is on the field. Blaine hasn't used Scavenging Ooze to hit Jake's graveyard yet, but he does need to realize that that's a thing. Well, okay, I say that. There's actually a way around this, by the way. So, if you know that there's another Vannifar in his hand,
Mm.
um, if Blaine tries to hit Jake D's
No, no,
sword,
no. Well, God, what he should do right now. No, 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 no. Oh, God, he played it all wrong. He played it all wrong. He should have hit because Vannifar is still active. There's no Pithing Needle. Oh, can't play it from the library because of Grafdigger's Cage. Forgot all about it. Let's say because you can get a deputy detention real easy.
like, well, yep, Jake D's not gonna be able to do that. Wanted to get in for a point of damage there, but that's not gonna happen right now. And unfortunately, though he's got the combo, without the Inventor's Fair, he's not gonna slowly be tricking his life back up. Fortunate for him. So as I was saying, there is a way around Scavenging Ooze. Sacrifice the sword. On the stack, he targets with Scavenging Ooze to get rid of the sword. On the stack, you sacrifice another artifact. Kind of similar to what he did with the Ensnaring Bridge. He makes it an invalid target by putting another stack that will resolve first, or another trigger on the stack that will resolve first, pulling the sword out before it can be targeted. But the thing is Blaine can answer 1 for 1 with each green mana he has.
Yeah.
And he has what?
Quite a bit.
Yeah, I think he literally just counted. He has 3 sources of green mana. So that would mean that Jake has to have 3 artifacts that he can sacrifice. He just doesn't. Actually, no, he did sacrifice his sword, didn't he?
Mm-hmm.
And he lost it, I bet. There's another Ensnaring Bridge. A Deputy Defension is going to open this up really, really quick.
Yep. Hits Grafdigger's Cage.
Of course, he regenerates it with the Welding Jar. Very predictable plays going back and forth. Surprised Jake D didn't realize that was going to happen with his sword.
Well, players make mistakes. There's a wall of roots. He's going to sacrifice 2, get 2 more.
He's trying to get damage on the field now. Which, I mean, 5 in the air is a lot.
Only 4, though.
Still, it's not an unappreciable amount of damage.
No, it's a 5-turn clock, which is fine.
Bobble?
Noble Hierarch swinging in.
A little confused as how he's swinging. Is Noble Hierarch a 0? It is a 0, my bad.
What artifact did he sacrifice? Mishra's Bauble.
Mox Opal. That's 9 damage, I believe, on Blaine. Blaine is on a clock. He's got to get an answer. He's got to get it now. Like he's going to sacrifice his own. You know, this is the versatility of Thopter Foundry. It turns every artifact you have into a 1/1 creature and gets life. There is a
Resto
Restoration Angel.
Comes in, blows up Graph Diggers.
This might be game, unfortunately.
Sacrifices to get an artifact, or get a Thopter.
But I don't think it's going to matter.
Nope.
Jake just did not get the creature hate he needed.
Sacrifice Noble Hierarch. There's the sacrifice. Untap Vannifar off of that.
Now, this is a very complex combo here. Now, one of the things that does have to be noted, though, Jake has no cards in hand, so he has no way, unless that Ensnaring Bridge is going to get destroyed, which it could be, he has no way to get through the Ensnaring Bridge.
And he scoops it up.
There. Close game.
Close.
Very close.
Very. All right, we'll see you back with the next pairing.
Be right back, to be honest. This has been round 1 of the Nexus Esports Friday Night Magic Modern event. Once again, your casters, Edward Teague.
And Patrick Cosgrove.
Right back.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Friday Night Magic Modern event here at Nexus Esports in historic downtown Waco. We are getting started into round 2 with David H. and Jake D., the real Jake D. Last time it was Jake R. That was a typo on our behalf. And it will be Boggles for David and Knightfall for Jake D. Now, Boggles is something that we've seen here plenty of times. It's play hexproof creatures, enchant them, swing in for massive amounts of damage. Knightfall is something interesting, and Mr. Edward Teague here has had the pleasure of losing to it at least once. So go ahead, tell us how Knightfall operates.
The crux of the deck is Knight of the Reliquary. Let me pull that up real fast for you. So Knight of the Reliquary is a 3-drop 2/2 Knight, and it gets +1/+1 for each land in your graveyard. The kicker here is that you can use fetch lands to fuel its power. Then it has the ability to tap, sacrifice a forests or plains, and then search your library for a land and put it into battlefield. It then uses landfall triggers,
such as Tireless Tracker, which is something we'll go ahead and pull up.
and a couple other things, and basically just generates a large field presence. It also uses a couple of cards to protect its main creature, because Tireless Tracker just gets stronger and stronger throughout the game.
Retreat to Coral Helm is another one that it uses. It's an enchantment.
Yep, and I have seen that too. So it abuses landfall triggers and the Knight of the Reliquary to pump out a lot of really powerful, basically just make it really powerful knights to just swing in. The real kicker here is David H's deck, Boggles, does something similar. It builds a Boggle. You got to build your Boggle. And neither deck really relies on creature destruction, so I wouldn't be surprised if we end up with a little face-off of big creatures.
We're going to see a Glade Cover Scout coming down immediately for Boggles. Always a very strong first-turn play. Now, the problem against Boggles is that Boggles is faster than Knightfall.
It is. But Knightfall will go... It's kind of weird to say, but it will swing wider. Because once the knights are out, you just get more knights. You may make a 20-20 Boggle, but he'll make 3 12-12 knights.
All right, so Rancor coming through. That's going to be 3, 4, 5, 6 damage in total, taking our Knightfall player down to 12.
Very hard hit on turn 2. Cracking a land.
What is that? Go check to see what that is. I'm not familiar with that.
Down drops 3. Oh! Yep, so there's the 3 mana for it coming out. And that is a 4/4 knight. Not strong enough to fight with that Boggle just yet, though. God, that must be...
It really is. You should go look at it when you get a chance. Dropping all the right auras in all the right places right now. That is a lot of damage. That's, let's see here, 3, 6, 7, 8, 9. Whew. That was 10, taking him down to 2. Retreat to Coral Helm comes out.
That's going to be game, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So Dramoka's command coming out. I'll go and pull that up for everybody. Very powerful card. Basically, target player sacrifices an enchantment, and then he's going to do something. I would make the Boggle fight the Knight as it swings in, and then just kill it.
Yep.
Jake D is at a horrible disadvantage here.
Knightfall is strong, make no mistake, but
Boggles are fast.
Boggles are fast. And the unfortunate thing is, really, you can't do anything about the Boggles themselves, right? You just kind of have to kill the enchantments as they come out. That's really all you can do.
To be honest, I don't think Jake D has the tools to deal with a single creature that just...
Well, I mean, so he's playing green, white, and blue, right? Hibernation is an option for a sideboard card at this point. That'd bounce or tap everything down, right? Not a bad idea. Really, all he needs is one turn in Knightfall to get his Knight into fighting shape. Tireless Tracker as well would give him plenty of card draw, stuff like that.
You know, both of those players had very good opening starts, though.
Oh, very good. No, for Knightfall, really couldn't have asked for anything better.
That was actually just an exceptional run for both of them. Answered back and forth very swiftly. That was like a 7-minute round one, not even 6 minutes. Very well done on their parts.
The problem is Boggles is too fast and too cheap. And I don't just mean that in mana cost, boys and girls. I mean that all over. I mean, your baseline Boggles deck, if you're not running Primo lands, stuff like that. I mean, Daybreak Coronet is not expensive. Rancor, not expensive. Imperial Armor, I will give you Imperial Armors if you tell me you want to make Boggles. I have that many. The Umbras are still less than 50 cents each, and the Boggles themselves are less than $1 a pop. That is 90% of your deck.
Yep. Now I think the average Boggle deck runs $40.
Without land, yeah.
Now the sideboard's a different story. They build really competitive sideboards, and then you get starting expensive. Get your Ley Lines of Sanctity, your Gallic Teagues, and suddenly you're talking about a sideboard that's worth almost as much as your deck, if not more.
But that is kind of the strength of Boggles. It itself is able to handle most things relatively well. 1/1 hexproofs for 1 are kind of a mistake on Wizards of the Coast part, in my opinion.
To be honest, 1/1 keyword for 1 have been abused a little bit too much. We've talked about a certain 1/1 with a specific keyword that has been abused a little bit.
Which one's that?
Listener Elf.
Well, Infect is a really strong keyword, to be sure.
And you know, I've even seen it. I've seen it used in other things too. Do you remember Raging Badger?
1/1 trample for 1.
Yep. By the way, I love the flavor text in that card. If hierarchy was determined by audacity alone, the Badger would be king of the beasts.
That's fair. I actually saw my favorite flavor text of all time recently on one of the new spoiled cards.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. It's the, like, Whiplash Cyclops or something like that, right? He's not even all that special. He's a common out of the new Ravnica cassette coming out, War of the Spark. And the flavor text is a quote from a Cyclops philosopher.
Huh.
And it's, you say this is 10th District, not Rebel Belt, but Rebel Belt is where smash happens. Rebel Belt is state of mind. And that is wonderful.
That is actually pretty deep.
That's pretty deep.
Especially depending on how hard smash happens.
Right, exactly. And right now, all of Ravnica's getting smashed pretty good.
Including our favorite Dark Planeswalker. She's getting smashed really.
Well, we don't know that yet. We saw her light on fire, but we don't know if she's dead or not, because
I just said she's getting smashed.
I wouldn't go that far.
So anyway, hopefully getting into round 2 soon, because this game, the first game was over in 6 minutes. Sideboarding is taking 3. But yeah, a whole lot of good stuff coming out with Modern Horizons, War of the Spark, Planeswalkers for everybody, and who knows what's going to happen in the future.
Playable Tibalt. Never thought I'd see it. Oh, got some tunes going on. I like it. I like it.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, I apologize. Apparently the music wasn't playing, so I'm sorry. I didn't mean it. Who takes it round 2?
Boggles is too fast. I'm pretty sure Boggles gets it unless he God hands, which isn't that hard.
Yeah, but he didn't get the Noble Hierarch turn 1. That
Well,
means we're probably not going to see the bird or the
I mean,
Knight of the Reliquary turn 2.
you.
Seeing some fetch action going on here.
Fetching for a breeding pool. Interesting.
Hope Jake's not feeling the pressure here. It is a kind of, like I said, a bad matchup for him right now. Especially since it's already out. The Boggle's out. Secret is out. Secret is out in turn.
Oh. My problem with Boggles is 1/1 hexproof for one. 1/1 infect is bad, but at least you can target it and kill it. Right?
Yeah, try doing that against the real deck.
Right. 1/1 trample is bad, but you can target it. You can kill it. Right?
It has the built-in protection, which is literally the whole basis of the deck. Ooh, that's coming out of turn late. That is literally less than good.
Did he keep a 1-mana hand?
Oh God, no, not like this.
No. Okay.
That bird is coming out 1 turn late, and that is not good.
You can play black, and yeah, you get a lot of edict effects in black, which is nice.
Including the new one coming out?
Yes, Liliana's Triumph actually kind of makes Boggles a little less of a pain in the butt. Rancor going on, that's going to be 3 damage.
Weird way to put the enchantment, but fine.
Honestly, I like it. Boggles can get so crowded with enchantments, it's best just to set the enchantments off to the
You
side.
don't want to turn the enchantments all sideways?
No, they're all auras. We understand inherently that they are attached to a creature.
I want you to think about one day if Wizards ever makes a mechanic that's like improvised but with enchantments.
Then it'll have to happen, yes. Honestly, kind of a slow turn for the Boggles, though.
Yeah, I definitely expected more damage coming out. He definitely just did not make the explosive Boggle on turn 2 like he did last game. But then again, Jake not really getting what he needed. Also, if that Knight does not come out this turn,
Problems.
very big problems. Like the kinds of problems that don't get solved by money. See a Noble Hierarch in his hand. I think it's a Noble.
I can't see anything in his hand. And Eddie, you're blind, so I absolutely know there's no reason or no way that you could see something that I don't.
Ladies and gentlemen, he's not kidding. I am blind and I have a driver's license. Somebody stop me. So what I thought was a Noble Hierarch, I think, is a Hollowed Fountain.
Yeah, that's 2 fairly different cards there, Ed.
Hey, we already admitted I am blind. Oh, a Spell Queller. Okay, that's a good card.
Very good. That's definitely going to slow it down.
Ladies and gentlemen, I've had run-ins with Spell Quellers, and I got to tell you, there is nothing more frustrating than watching your big play disappear under a big fat creature. Because let's face it, a 2/3 body that is instant speed that stops your spell is rude.
It really is. Now, it's spelled with converted mana cost 4 or less.
This is modern. We don't play spells with...
Now, there's a problem with that, right? He may cast the card. Okay, yeah, never mind. I'm sorry. I thought that said something different. I thought it might just fizzle enchantments completely there for a second. And what are we going to do? Are we going to path that?
It's like we are, in fact, going to path it.
Now, he can't play that this turn
Why can't he?
because he just tapped out.
He can pay it without paying its mana cost.
Oh, yeah. And we got a Quasali Pride Mage on the field as well. Rough. More enchantment destruction.
A little bit. Some things to think about, though. So, and I'm a little confused. Is that enchantment going to be cast? Because if it doesn't,
It's not his turn. He can't play it.
What?
He not his turn.
He
Spell
passed
Queller
it on
came-
somebody else's turn?
No, Spellqueller came out last turn, and he passed turn. That's why the Quasali Pride Mage is out.
Huh.
He pathed it on Jake's turn.
Oh, that's kind of gooberish of him. He doesn't get the spell back. Like I should say, he doesn't get the card back. It becomes a spell again.
Daybreak Coordinate going out. I mean, I would declare a blocker and then sacrifice my Pride Mage and kill the Daybreak
Exactly.
Coordinate.
Exactly.
That is exactly what I would do.
That, or as he casts it, destroy Rancor. Doesn't that make the thing no longer a legitimate target? Doesn't fizzle it?
Oh, no, that would work.
But I think it's already resolved, and there's nothing that can be done. The plays that could have been made.
Actually, if you would have destroyed Rancor, it would have fizzled the spell completely, and you could have killed the dang. Oh, well, no. You'd have to sacrifice your Quasali Pride, mate. So he'd have a 1-1 on the field now. 1 hexproof.
Well, he would have got the Rancor back and just re-enchanted his creature. But yeah, he would have broke the Daybreak Coronet. That being said, I've noticed that David's not turning his creature sideways. So I think he knows it's going to happen. Coronet?
Spell Queller again.
Well,
you
he
have to do something about this Boggle.
Well, I don't remember what the original
So
enchantment.
he's going to block it. Tap sack.
Get the Rancor. Get the Rancor.
He's going to hit the Daybreak.
I mean, it does make the Boggle weaker, but the 3 damage is going to go through. Zesty, I don't remember which enchantment it was. I think it was an Umbra.
Yeah. Hyena Umbra, I think.
I guess he figures he can deal with a 3-1. In fact, I'm surprised he didn't just go ahead and stick the Spirit in the way as well.
I might as well kill it.
-1 Boggles, -1 Boggle. Sometimes that's all you got to do with these decks that rely on these 1-1 keywords. Kill that Glistener Elf and he didn't think to keep a second one, or a hand that had a second one.
Actually, there's no reason not to throw the Spirit in the way next time. That thing currently has 1 on the butt.
And no first strike now.
Another path. I don't know why he's pathing during his opponent's turn. Path is path a sorcery, and I'm not. I'm
I mean,
confused.
it's an instant. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to cast it, but you're right. He's putting it back in his hand.
No, he can't cast it on his turn.
Yeah, but he still a spell that he's thrown out. Like it's out there. I don't think he gets to return the card to hand.
You're right.
One second, we're gonna get a ruling on that effect, but I do believe that Spell Queller, because it's stopping a spell that's being cast, it effectively returns the spell to the state of being a spell. So it's not a card that you can just put back in your hand. If it fizzles due to speed, then it just fizzles. Oh.
Misplays here. I'm kind of sad that I didn't catch that the first time. What did he play? Collected Company? What did he get? Whole bunch of nothing?
Like it.
Some birds?
You know, the people that complained about the second Innistrad set really don't know what they're talking about. But we got Spell Queller, we got
What are we doing here? We're searching for something else. I feel like I should be down there watching this game happen. Yeah, I'm gonna go watch this.
does my co-caster Patrick takes a look at the turn and gets a feel for what exactly is going on with the current board state. We are about halfway through time allotted for the round. Man, I wish our iPad was working right now so it could be tracking live on the scoreboard here. But I do believe that Knightfall is just sitting in the low single digits. It looks like 2 life. Don't know if they're going to be able to get through here. Boggles buffing up again. Daybreak Coordinate, Rancor, and Ethereal Armor. Spell Queller coming out, probably going to stop that Imperial Armor, and a Tireless Tracker. That's going to keep that Boggle nice and low. The Path of Exile coming out now. Once again, Path answering that Spell Queller almost instantly. That being said, a land entering the battlefield is going to trigger Tireless Tracker's effect, allowing it to investigate. Investigate, of course, creating a clue token whenever the trigger resolves. Clue is a colorless artifact token which has the ability to pay 2 mana, tap it, and sacrifice it. Draw a card. Any damage is honestly allowed to go through. It's probably going to be lethal to Jake D and his Knights. I'm reading it right now. That Boggle is about a 9/7. Unless I'm seeing it wrong. It has First Strike, Lifelink, Vigilance, and Trample. If I'm right, and that's a Scavenging Ooze on the field. I don't think that's going to be enough to save Jake D. That's just going to be 3 toughness, Tireless Tracker being 2, and Birds being 1. That's just a quick and easy 6 toughness. Go on the way of that 9 damage at 3 life. That's enough damage to be lethal. I think that's going to be it. David's going to take it in 2 in a 30-minute round 2. Quick and simple, Boggles showing its effectiveness. My co-host Patrick getting a feeling for how that play generally fell through there. We're going to be right back with you, though, with the resolution of round 2, and following a commercial break after that, be with you in round 3. So stay with us, and we will return shortly. And we are back with the Friday Night Magic Modern Event coverage here at Nexus Esports in the corner of 6th and Columbus.
In historic downtown Waco, I've been informed that I sound as if I'm on an FM radio tonight, so I'm going to do the best I can to make sure that I have my best radio voice on for you, ladies and gentlemen. We have 8-Rack versus Monoblue Merfolk here. Inquisition of Kozilek coming out first turn for 8-Rack, getting rid of the Lord of Atlantis. Moving on to turn 2 for Monoblue Merfolk.
I've actually had the pleasure of playing this deck before. Here comes out the Chalice of the Void. I played this back in December. You can actually see it on our stream. I was playing my Esper Thopter deck. It's Merfolk has just always been one of those tribes. Just a powerful deck because it's tribal, it's aggro, but it's blue, so it has all the tricks.
What is this, Augur of Skulls coming out?
That is definitely Augur of Skulls coming out. So, yep, there's the Chalice of the Void. Chalice of the Void is, I mean, there's only so many one-drop Merfolk, so it's probably going to stop most of the racks unless Ray can get rid of it.
And that is going to be a Lord of Atlantis, I do believe, coming in for Monoblue Merfolk. Now, this Chalice of the Void really hurts Ray. He can't play Rack, he can't play Shrieking Affliction.
By the way, Chalice of the Void, dear God, what a money card.
Oh yes, very expensive and for very good reasons.
I believe it was originally printed in, originally in Mirrodin. One of those legendary, not literally legendary, Mirrodin artifacts. It just wrecked.
Honestly, with zero amounts of artifact removal in his deck, Ray might just need to throw in the towel right here with a Chalice of the Void on turn 2 for 1.
The big thing to think about here is Ray has been working on modifying his 8-rack deck a little bit.
No, I believe he activated the ability for Augur of Skulls. And I'm not sure what that is.
That is a smallpox.
Smallpox.
He's going to make some things happen at the moment. Said Ray did just ditch, I believe, a funeral charm.
Very good card. He's going to fizzle out the rack.
Not really sure what he's going for here, fizzling out his own racks as they were. Yeah, we're a little confused as well. I mean, Patrick, do you have any insight here?
Nothing I can think of unless he has some type of amazing graveyard recursion that we are completely unaware of. Might just be trying to keep his hand empty at this point. Not entirely sure.
Well, I do believe he runs an ensnaring bridge. That could be what it is.
Merfolk Trickster coming out during his turn. Looks like another Lord. Yeah, she should be attacking quite often, but she's not for reasons unknown.
There might be an ensnaring bridge already on the field and we're not seeing it. Could be out of frame.
I'm going to go check to see if the board has an ensnaring bridge on it. I will be right back, ladies and gentlemen.
They've done a marvelous job of keeping a good part of the playfield off camera right now. Yep. See, that's where you called it. It was true. Makes a lot more sense now. That is why he's been emptying his hand this whole time.
Doing a little bit of rearranging there so we can see better. Thank you very much, Ray. All this board state for unfortunately nothing right now. This is a bit of a stalemate. As long as he can keep an empty hand, it doesn't really matter. Inquisition for nothing.
I know Ray had been trying to modify his 8-rack deck to work in a different way. Unfortunately, I don't think he retained those changes and took it back to mono black. His original intention was to make it black green.
No, I don't see any 1-mana spells on the board. If so, it just fizzled because of the Chalice of the Void. I don't know. I might have to step down there and just kind of guide this one.
Why do you say that?
Because there is a lot of confusing steps going on here. Is that a smallpox? Yes, it is. Now, don't get me wrong. If he's running Torment and Hellfire and Cabal Strongholds, he could still win.
But I don't think he is. He runs a more tempo-based version of 8-rack, much more about burning out your hand and then getting you into that rack position. Really good play there on the turn one that he was able to hit Sam's hand and not get the chalice immediately. There's another chalice coming out. Looks like she's tapping down 2 mana, just putting out a second chalice to help safeguard there. If Ray can't get any kind of damage in, then this is basically just going to be a stall game until Samantha can get her counter to Ensnaring Bridge, which does exist. I do know it is in there.
Should be Echoing Truth or Circle's Recall.
When I played against her back in December, that was her answer to my bridge, and it was really a stall game of me getting my combo off before she got her answer, and it just worked out.
Master of Waves. Now, Master of Waves is a bit of a game changer here. There's 0 mana tokens that it generates, so they can get through Ensnaring Bridge, if I'm not mistaken, right?
No, it's based on power.
Ah. Goes to show you how many Ensnaring Bridges I've played in my entire life. This many. 0. Never been a big artifact player.
Meanwhile, I'm a huge artifact player. Bigly huge artifact player, ladies and gentlemen. I love artifacts. I actually love all the artifacts currently on this field right now. It's just that they are stupid. That is true. Ray tried to cast a Thoughtseize, not realizing that when it's countered, he doesn't actually lose the life. It's not a cost. Fatal Push would have come in handy, actually, to be honest, if it wasn't a 1-drop spell. This Chalice of the Void really does kind of kill the whole deck.
Did not realize just how much of his deck is just 1-drops and 2-drops.
That's what makes 8-Rack such a good deck. It is such powerful tempo because it's just a bunch of 1-drops.
No, her Chalice on 2 is actually not that great of an idea. She was just trying to stop further hand hate, more smallpox, more mind retch, stuff like that.
The problem is that a lot of her really important creatures are also 2-drops. But technically, she has the board state. If she gets the thing to stop ensnaring bridge, she's fine. That being said, thinking about it, Echoing Truth is a drop, is it not?
It is.
She played herself. So the only other thing she has is what was it called again?
Just put in recall. There it is.
Also
a 2-drop.
I'm not really sure what other answers she might have. Echoing Truths was the big one, but for now,
Actually, give me just a moment.
My co-host Patrick's going to go and get a more clear understanding of how this game's going to progress. Because honestly, this is might be the most boring game we've ever put on to stream. And we've actually had a Boggle versus Boggles match before. It should be noted that if Ray can get multiple ensnaring bridges out, that's going to prevent Samantha from removing them one at a time. Although she does have the mana to counter them now, and clearly, if she has the proper counter spells, she does have cards in hand to be able to counterspell anything that's coming out. But if Ray gets out multiple ensnaring bridges, this game's going to stall out. And if it stalls out too hard, it's possible that Samantha might end up milling herself. There's a Raven's Crime in the graveyard. Unfortunately, much like our hello, John. How are you doing tonight? As I was saying, much like our music, this game is very chill, with not a whole lot going on. John, I know you're somewhat new to the world of Magic, but what's basically happened is something of a stall fest has gone on. Ray managed to get out an early ensnaring bridge to keep him safe from the Merfolk aggro that Samantha put out. That being said, Samantha has locked down Ray's ability to cast just about everything. With a Chalice on 1 and Chalice on 2, these counter spells with a converted mana cost equal to the charge counter on these items. If Samantha cannot find a way to get rid of this ensnaring bridge, she is not going to be able to attack Ray. And with that chalice on 2, the 2 cards that we know of right now that should be in her deck to counter the ensnaring bridge are not available. The only card that we can think of is Cryptic Command. And she has clearly not drawn it yet. My co-host Patrick is out there trying to get a feel for the game because this is turning very quickly into just a giant stall match. And as we all know, stall matches are extremely boring. Very much so, John. It is a rather unfortunate situation to be in for both players. As Corsair pointed out earlier, the Chalice on 2 might have been a huge mistake for Samantha because now she can't cast any Echoing Truths or, I'm trying to remember what it was called, Pheonix Refall or something of that nature. Recall. Let me actually pull it up here. Hercule's Recall. A second ensnaring bridge now on the field. This means that you need not 1 but 2 cards to bounce the artifacts. Ray is simply going to keep casting whatever spell he draws out, and whether it gets countered or it resolves, it doesn't really matter. Unfortunately, in this kind of situation, the thing that Ray could use more than anything is a permanent that allows him to do things. And I do not believe he has anything in his deck at the moment. I typically loan Ray a couple copies of Liliana the Veil, and the Liliana would go far in trying to turn this game around. Hello, Witch Witch. Welcome to the stream. How are you doing tonight? Where are you coming from? Ladies and gentlemen, this is very much going to be a stall match, and I'm not really sure. It depends on if any kind of misplay happens in drawing, but if my math is right, both players are running a 60-card deck. Ray drew first because he went second, so he's probably going to end up milling.
Probably. But I did attempt to ask if either player did in fact have a kill condition.
And it seems that the kill condition is literally going to be waiting for either player to run out of cards.
Both players told me that they will not concede.
Well, you have to admire their stamina.
Sure.
I'm afraid, Zesty, you're not going to see the Hellfire for 2 reasons. One of which is the fact that there are... Looks like they're scooping it up. I think, yeah, Ray ended up being out of cards first. But as I was saying, Hellfire is technically a 2 CMC card, so it would have been countered by the Chalice of the Void.
Correct. X counts as 0.
So, to be honest, that was a draw to literally... God, that I don't even want to say that. That's just horrible.
It very much was. I am actually kind of upset at our players for not simply taking the draw on the first round, which is a perfectly viable option.
I mean, technically, I believe that means Samantha wins. So after a 15-minute game of draw go, we are going to finally see an interesting match. But
possibly, and only possibly. hit Ray for you. Now, Zesty, I don't think I'm actually going to do that. Um, when it comes to things like these situations, I actually tend to blame the player who caused the stalemate to happen. And in this case, it was not Ray who did that. It was very much Samantha. She played a Chalice of the Void for 2, knowing full well that it stopped her deck as well as his.
Very much so. And I'm going to be honest, if she had no answers outside of her own, what did she even, does she have the...
Not main board.
Not even Echoing Truth?
Not main board.
I mean, in that case, she literally had nothing anyway.
Yep.
This game was stalled to begin with.
Yep. Yeah, it's very unsportsmanlike, in my opinion. I mean, I applaud the honesty of the player for telling me that there was no artifact removal main board, and that she knew that, but boy howdy.
So hopefully with about 16 minutes burned in here to the third round, we should be getting into the second game of the third round. And I don't know. What do you think? Ray have a chance?
He does, as long as no Chalice of the Void hits. But if Samantha is playing intelligently, she will probably mull till 3 if she needs to, just to keep 2 mana open with a Chalice. If you throw a Chalice for 1 against 8-rack, they lose.
Ironically, this wouldn't actually work as well against my version of 8-rack, but my version of 8-rack is a bit more of a, what do they call it, a mid...
Yours is a mid-range 8-rack deck.
Yes. There, I was saying mid-game, it's like, that's not right, that's late.
No, because you run Liliana, you run...
Torments and Hellfire.
Torment and Hellfire.
I run more than one win condition, and oftentimes I'll not tempo out as well as this 8-rack, which is very much a traditional 8-rack, but I'll win on the back end if a game stalls out like this.
Which is not a bad place to be. However, we are dealing with two kind of... Well, I mean, 8-rack's not even fringe right now. 8-rack is seeing a lot of attention being paid to it from the tournament scene that I've been paying attention to. So that's good. Merfolk is definitely not up there on the tier list, at least as high as it used to be. But
seems Ray's is not going to make his traditional play, and he's going to go ahead and get the turn 1. Anyway, as far as your comment, Zesty, I do understand where you're coming from, and I understand where my co-host is coming from as well. But the truth of the matter is that there is prizes at stake here, and if both players are in fact 1-1, Samantha's trying everything she can to finish the night 2-2 or better.
Now it's cutthroat magic, but it's magic all the same. So, whilst I can't hold the play against her, I do find it somewhat unsportsmanlike, and that's all I will say. That's not a judgment of the player or their playing standards. That's just how I view that kind of thing. In all of my years playing Magic, anybody who stalls out has always not necessarily been looked down upon, but definitely considered. I don't even know. There's negative aspects to it.
There are negative aspects, but in the interest of the stream, I'd like to move on from the point because we are getting into game 2 here, and
we're
Ray
already
is coming out strong with 2 very early hand destruction. He is looking for that Chalice, but unfortunately, he's not going to hit a single one.
No, but he can get rid of potential threats.
You know, I've told Ray to be careful with his hand motions. I recently was talking to him. He has a habit of passing turn by snapping his fingers and moving his hand. I told him that can be incredibly disrespectful. I mean, it's no much different than snapping your fingers at someone to get their attention.
Right.
Which Patrick, as a Marine, successful Marine in the United States Marine Corps, I'm sure that you snapped your fingers at people plenty of times.
I mean, I still do to this day. I get my son's attention by snapping my fingers.
But
So-
as you know, it can be a highly disrespectful thing to do to a person.
Oh, very.
And the most important thing in Magic, ladies and gentlemen, is to basically keep it friendly.
Correct. Now, we do see a Shrieking Affliction coming out for Ray. This is very important. This happened before Chalice got down, which means if hand size can be kept down, he has a chance to win this, but he also needs to get rid of the threats on the board.
Racks out, ladies and gentlemen. Racks out. Inquisition coming out. Those full art islands, though.
A second player we've seen tonight with full art unglued lands for the basics in their deck.
I personally like to find just foil artworks from sets that I really liked. I believe I've a foil mirrored an island, and I really love that land. It just does, like, you see island, and then you look at it, and it's just these weird spires covered in a murky film. And you're just like, how is that an island? But it looks great. I believe that is a, what is it, Master of the Pearl Trident with a Lord of Atlantis. Those are both 3/3s right now.
Yes, sir.
That
That's another Lord of Atlantis. That's a lot of damage coming through.
is 8 damage. Sam's set up to win this handedly. Ray's definitely got to get that third land and the ensnaring bridge out, and he's kind of got to get it out now.
He doesn't have it.
There's the Funeral Charm. Got a card, Sam. Fortunately, that Mutavault not really doing Ray the business that it needed to, restricting his ability to play. And that's going to be game.
Well played to both players. And that is round 3 of our Friday Night Magic Modern event here at Nexus Esports in beautiful downtown Waco. We will see you for the finals.
Stay with us, and we will be right back with the closing game. Hello and welcome to the fourth and final round of the Friday Magic.
Friday Night
take it
Magic
away from
Modern
here.
event. Our co-host here, Edward Teague, is in a severe amount of pain after just jacking his knee into a file cabinet. You missed it. It was phenomenal. Thank you for digging on the lo-fi while we were gone. And today, for our final round, we have Lucas, I still can't say his last name, versus
Whitaker.
Whitaker. I thought it was like Worcester.
Oh, it's not that complicated.
Oh, okay.
Lucas, of course, a regular up here, good personal friends with the owner, Zach, and he's running the newly finished, I think, Humans deck.
Mm-hmm.
This is the 5 colors Humans deck that earns so much
Credit. It just earns so much credit and ire of its opponents.
Fire is really the word I wanted to go for.
Right, and he will be playing against the infamous Izzet Pheonixes, a.k.a. the Laser Bird. Which,
ladies and gentlemen, I will be calling it Izzet Pheonix. My co-host will be calling it later.
it is Laser Bird. Lo-fi is good. I've been falling asleep to it every night ever since I did my first casting here, when I discovered it.
Oh, I believe your lovely girlfriend loves it too, right?
She does. She does. Also, Laserbird might be getting some new tools out of the new set that's coming out. I saw a draw discard card today that was spoiled.
Definitely, definitely. If nothing else, at least being able to play something closer to the modern version in standard. It'll be a little slower, but if you can play what is effectively a modern deck in standard, that's powerful.
It very much is. Not saying that standard decks are not powerful. We've seen plenty of standard decks that can hold their own in the modern format. In fact, some of them usually just get transformed into modern decks with slight variations.
It's the decks that win with gimmicks that don't transform.
Agreed to all of our heroic players and our monstrous players from back in the Theros days. I'm sorry that that mechanic did not, in fact, hold over. Though heroic has a bit of a better chance of staying around. A little more staying power on that end.
So who wins?
Who wins? Well, that's a pretty good question, actually.
I mean, I know who wins.
God?
No. Wow, why'd you have to go there?
I thought we were getting all philosophical.
Now, I was just going to make a joke about the person who wins is going to be the person with life remaining at the end of the round.
Oh, that's actually a pretty good bet. We got some fetching going on nice and early here with an Aether Vial hitting the ground for our
Umans.
5-color humans.
By the way, ladies and gentlemen, if I say Umans, you're just going to have to forgive me. It's just fun to say. Try it. Say Umans. Just cut the H off. It's fun.
We're going to do a double fetch here. Laserbird on the bottom of the library we're seeing. Thank goodness for shuffles.
He's going to shuffle the crap out of that, actually. Yep. He saw it, and he's like, nope, shuffle. I would actually laugh if he put that bird right back on the bottom.
I'm not entirely familiar with what just got played. Oh dear, and here comes the Orcish in the chat. More DACA and all of that.
Desi never disappoints with the...
Whatever, the Emperor protects. And Magnus did nothing wrong. If you take away anything from this stream, ladies and gentlemen, Magnus did nothing wrong.
Magnus is like a Thanos, but without the weird chin thing.
Gonna go ahead and opt.
By the way, I love that. Is that like an alpha island?
Either alpha or beta. That's right, Zesty. He was just trying to take care of his dad. Faithless looting coming out for our Laserbird player. Looks like he's tossing a Drake to the grave.
Came out there. Obviously a wind drop.
You know, I don't know which one that is. It's at this point, ladies and gentlemen, that I do wish I could control the camera overlooking our noble hierarch. That's a noble hierarch.
Ooh, meddling mage coming out. What do you think he's naming with that?
What does meddling mage do?
Are you serious? Okay. Meddling mage is actually a bit of an older card, but it definitely checks out. It is honestly a lot of the reason why.
I would be naming. Well, geez, it doesn't even matter about Pheonixes because usually you play them from the grave.
You know what? We already know what it is. See, he's already written it down. Thing in the ice.
That's awful nice of him.
Yep, just no things in the ice, please. What is that card? That's an enchantment over there on the side.
I don't know. Let me go check.
Gonna go get that back. Oh, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, I do want to point out that I know exactly where these meddling mages came from. You could say that. Human's deck coming out real strong here, using nothing more than a single mana and an Aether Vial. Aether Vial is such a critical card in the Humans deck, with the ability, because humans, it's 5-color humans. Like, you can't get enough mana filter. So Aether Vial is just going to ignore mana filter and play spells for free. Pyromancer's Ascension. Oh, God, not another one of those. Yes. Ascension cards. I remember all the Ascensions from Ravnica, or not Ravnica, Zendikar. My favorite was Luminarch's Ascension.
This one is good.
Yep. Definitely going to be a powerful card coming out soon. And of course, it does have the 2 quest counters on it, so.
Any spell that gets cast gets copied.
Yep, basically just a free card. Reverberate.
Mm-hmm.
Free Reverberate coming out every single time. That means lightning bolts are just going to become extremely powerful soon. I don't suppose you got to look at some of those other humans that are on the field right now.
I did not. I know one of that is Thalia's lieutenant. I can actually hear myself popping in the microphone now. I know exactly what they mean by I sound like I'm on an FM radio. Sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. We were having some problems with the microphones earlier.
Oh, we did manage to fix the iPad, so as you can see, we are tracking life now.
Hooray!
Fantastic. Scott there is at 12 life. Lucas is at 17. But coming up on this, Lucas is going to come out strong real soon. Of course, you're seeing counters come out quickly for the humans.
Lots and lots of power on the board here. Going to sink him down to 1.
Ooh, very close. So, I don't know. Does Scott turn this around in 1 turn?
Hard to imagine that he does. I mean, so much as a shock right now puts the meddling mage out of... Well, no. Well, yeah, no, he could shock it. Gonna get a Manamorphose. That's gonna get copied.
Yep. So he's actually not just going to basically recoup his costs, but gain double back. He's gonna draw 2 cards and gain effectively 2 mana. He's gonna gain 4 mana. Oh God. What is he gonna do with it?
Gonna play Serum Visions. That's also gonna get copied.
Which is really handy because he basically gets to scry 2 afterward. I mean, he does get to scry 2, which means he gets to set up his next draw. This is probably the first time I've seen Pyromancer's Ascension in deck.
What we need to see here, though, is something that can stop this board state. Either mass bounce or... Geez, I don't even know.
I mean, a hard reset is needed at this point because I believe those are +1/+1 counters on those creatures.
They are.
A couple lightning bolts are not going to be sufficient, and even if he's swaying with 4 Phoenixes right now, that would not be sufficient for damage done. Although maybe 4 Phoenixes and a bolt, because that'd be 2 bolts.
He needs to get rid of the meddling mage. Now that's going to be a faithless looting that's going to get copied.
I'm assuming that all these cards are resolving properly. It definitely looks like it, though. That is an Izzet Pheonix coming out. Or is it Phoenixes? Alright, so where are we now? Looks like we still have 2 mana available.
3.
Well,
And
okay,
land
with
for
the
turn.
untapped land, you're right.
Another faithless looting.
And I think that is going to be enough to trigger... Actually, do the copies count as casting spells?
Yes.
So he's already has the trigger for his Phoenixes. At this point, he's just trying to get as many Phoenixes as possible. Which, if he can get all 4 Phoenixes out, swing over the top, and then throw a lightning bolt, he wins. That is 18 damage. No, actually, take that back. That's 20 damage. Can he get it? That's a surgical extraction. That's a Metamorphose. That reopens everything.
Jiminy.
I figure how he wants to balance the mana here. It's like 2 red, 4 blue. Nope, no, no. 3 and 3. Probably not the world's worst balance. Filling up his hand. There's another faithless looting. He is desperately trying to fill his library right now.
He is digging, and digging hard.
I know there's at least 3 Phoenixes in his graveyard right now. He has to cast spells, unfortunately. He has to cast spells before combat, though, because the mana will empty out before combat. Dear God, a Grave Shot at this point would be amazing. That's 4 Phoenixes, ladies and gentlemen. That might be
Does
game.
he have the bolt?
I feel like those first 3 cards in his hand are bolt.
There's the bolt.
There's another bolt. That's 12 damage alone. And then 4 Phoenixes. Jesus Christ!
Pyromancer's Ascension is officially busted. My goodness gracious.
Lucas had that until the most ridiculous string of spells I've ever seen.
No thing in the ice, not a single one.
Huh. You're right.
He replaced him with Pyromancer's Ascension. His deck runs no thing in the ice because it can just dig through his entire library in a single turn. My God.
Yeah, I think the play here is definitely going to be stopping Pyromancer's Ascension. Or
You're gonna have to get it out before he can. You're gonna have to Meddling Mage turn 2 and name Pyromancers, and if he sideboards out Pyromancer's Ascension and puts in Thing in the Ice, he loses anyway.
Well done.
Well played.
Jesus, that was good. Jesus. That was 24 damage.
In one turn. Impressive. Turn 4?
Wow. So.
Odd. I don't even know what you sideboard here with humans. I mean...
Aegis of the Gods.
Yeah.
It is a human, I think.
I don't know. Look it up. You have a perfectly good computer right there.
I like my phone thing. It is, in fact, a human soldier enchantment creature. It is also a 2-drop. Of course, you're right. I actually should have pulled it up on the computer so our viewers could have seen it. So I'm actually going to go ahead and knock that out. Aegis of the Gods, possible sideboard option here. But I'm not 100% sure. It's just a ley line, basically, as a creature. Easily destroyed. Really depends on what you can run, but not at all a weak card. The only other thing I can think of is you need Thalia out. Thalia has to come out. Let me actually pull that one up too. Thalia is like the control card. I mean, when it came out, it shut down non-creature decks so hard.
Heretic Cathar also would not be bad.
It would technically stop the Pheonixes, you're right. It would interplay tapped. It would help stop the sudden rush, keeping the 12 damage from. But I think the other Thalia would definitely go much more miles. I mean, having to pay 3 to gain 2, even with Pyromancer's Ascension, you basically just net a mana. And then the next spell you cast is 2. You don't get to cast anything.
The problem with it is you still get the copies.
Say again?
If Pyromancer's Ascension is out, you still get the copies.
True.
The copies don't cost you a dime.
Well, actually, that's what I was saying. With Manamorphose,
gotcha.
You would cast it, gain 2 mana from the original, 2 from the copy, so 4, but it cost you 3 to get off in the first place.
So you're netting 1.
Yeah.
Alright, Sail Freebooter coming in.
Not the turn 2 that he needs right now, to be honest.
Alright, Sail Freebooter. Great human.
Yep.
It's Brain Maggot, but better.
I'll give you that. Flying, it's able to sit there and hit over the top. Gonna get in for a damage. Very polite, by the way. I like it. Really do. Showing his hand. Letting it be a thing. There's, of course, the thing in the ice, just like you said. Sideboard out one, sideboard in the other. Very good play on his part. that Reflector Mage? That is Reflector Mage. We were just
Bouncing
talking
back.
about Reflector Mage. So, of course, Reflector Mage enters the battlefield, return target creature to its opponent's hand, and that creature's controller can't cast spells the same name as that creature until your next turn. So not only is Sling of the Ice back in its controller's hand, but we're not seeing it again.
Not until next turn.
That Snapcaster sitting there. Lucas, of course, has a massive mana pool to draw on now.
Mmm. That is Kamal. Oh God, I can't remember. Famball. Council of Allocation.
Very good card in this matchup. Not quite the Thalia, but definitely dangerous. There's the Meddling Mage stopping the Thing in the Ice. This time might be enough. See, damage just going to go ahead and come through there with that. Dot's in a tough spot at this point. Do you think Lucas did this on purpose? Intentionally tried not to throw the Meddling Maze early, trying to see what the sideboard was?
Wouldn't doubt it. Manamorphose coming out.
Lucas definitely has stepped up his play here at Nexus Esports.
Yep, and Blazebird's going to go ahead and scoop it up. He only had 2 more turns worth of spells to cast, or 2 more spells to cast that weren't creatures, or he would have killed himself. That's kind of the bad thing about Kambal is if he gets thrown, he's a very niche card, but if he gets thrown, in order to remove him, it's going to cost you not just mana, not just a spell for the turn, but life, and life for your opponent.
Really good card coming out of Kaladesh, to be honest.
And nobody played him.
Yeah, you're right. Kind of weird.
When he was spoiled, I remember everybody screaming commander bait. He's taxes.
Very much so.
He is the very definition of taxes.
I mean, if you literally Thalia turn 2 and him on turn 3, you're set up to make your opponent pay 1 more mana and 2 life for every spell.
Which means that your average kill card's going to cost you 3, and it's going to cost you 2 life.
And your opponent's going to gain some resources out of it.
Uh-huh.
Woo! Woo! Painful.
Nasty little setup.
But that's 5-color humans for you. Oh, man.
Now, creature control has always been very strong when it can work right.
And that is literally what came to mind here. Like, somebody just sat down and said, you know what? Humans can literally do everything. I feel like there's a little bit of a playoff here from D&D, because, humans are more normally the most versatile race with no specialization. Here you're kind of seeing them in Magic that way. They can do everything. They don't do any one thing specifically well, and they don't exist in any one specific color. They exist in every color and can do everything.
Oh. I mean, it is a Wizards of the Coast game.
I mean, which is the coast? When are we going to get a Magic the Gathering role-playing game?
Oh, we already have one.
I don't want to play D&D. They screwed up D&D after they...
Better question, when are we going to the D&D plane in Magic?
Which one? A couple of they've done in D.
Right, just like the standard one that they have right now, whichever one they're in. I wouldn't mind going to...
and all that?
Yeah, I wouldn't mind going to Greyhawk or whatever it's called. Little crossover event might be fun.
I mean, they kind of did that already with the Guildmaster's Guide to Ravnica. You can do Ravnica campaigns in D&D. I'd like to see a Magic set based on Swords of the Coast. Maybe a little bit of low fantasy coming back. Because honestly, Magic the Gathering has gone beyond high fantasy. We're the Mile High Club now of fantasy.
No, it's actually completely ridiculous. If you look at your average things that a planeswalker in Magic would do, other wizards from other fantasy settings pale in comparison. Like Elminster was this amazing mage, and his big thing was he fought his way through hell, while a planeswalker just walks through it.
True. And while the Neo Walkers of today's Magic are not nearly as strong as the old walkers of days of yore, truth of the matter is most of the planeswalkers we saw in the recent cinematic with Liliana, they don't cast spells. They just will magic. It just kind of happens at their fingertips. Gotta clench that fist, spread those hands, whatever the case is. They don't seem to be casting anything.
Thing in the Ice coming out nice and early.
Definitely trying to stay on top of Lucas here. I mean, this is literally for the final top seed here. Somebody's walking away from this game 4-0.
He's going to have to put a charge counter on the Aether Vial. Yep, he's going to go ahead and pass turn. Didn't tap the... Did you tap the Aether Vial to put a charge counter on it? No, okay.
So it's a trigger at the beginning of upkeep.
You may, or it does happen.
You may. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to bring up the Aether Vial for you. Another one of those legendary artifacts from Mirrodin.
Originally printed as an uncommon in Mirrodin. It is now a $60 card on average, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, yeah. I recently had a playset, but I actually traded them up here at Nexus Esports. I got a pretty good deal on them, too, so definitely a card worth its weight in gold, literally, probably. The card doesn't weigh very much.
Ooh, 2 Pheonixes coming out nice and early.
That is damage. That has just a lot of damage. I don't know how I like that, though. Thing in the Ice.
Didn't pop, but it's okay, because there's really nothing on the board.
Well, it's going to bounce those Pheonixes back to hand, so he's going to have to
That's
dump them.
fine. He can discard them.
It's true. It's true. You're not wrong.
Or he can just swing. 6 damage every turn is...
Hell of a clock. Honestly, Lucas needs a board wipe, and he needs it like right now. And I don't think Humans plays a board wipe, so
And unfortunately, even if he floods the board right now, it's 1 spell away from being reset.
much so.
There's Camball.
I mean, that might buy him a little time.
No, right now, like, this is actually the wrong turn to play it on. What's he care about 2 life right now?
Creature just came out. I think it just buffed up all the other creatures. Well, so here's the thing. Scott can just keep swinging through. But if he starts casting spells, it's going to set him back a bit. Unless he starts throwing bolts at... gonna reset, although triggers galore, I do believe.
Uh-huh. That's one spell and 2 mana floating. Another thing in the ice. That's 7 damage. Like, this is a scary board state.
Definitely.
He has to cast 4 spells, and he has another bounce, and it'll be 14. Like, that's kind of the thing that we were talking about when we first saw Izzet Laserbird on the field here at Nexus, was the fact that Thing in the Ice by itself is a win condition, boys and girls.
The Thing in the Ice was such a good card when it got. Is that a Blood Moon?
That is a Blood Moon.
Oh! Oh!
Disgusting. He's going to snag the Blood Moon, which is the smart play here. Now, he can put Camball back out. He's going to put...
Thalia.
He puts Thalia out. It's a little too late for Thalia, though. That needed to come in 2 turns ago.
There's a Campbell. I mean, Scott can't... He literally has the 2 combo now to stop... like, Lucas can't... Or it's just not Lucas. Scott cannot get off the second Thing in the Ice. But he does have just a 7/8 beat stick coming through.
But he can get off the second Thing in the Ice. That's the kind of... assuming he doesn't have the burn in his hand, right? We just saw his hand, but I wasn't able to catch what's there, right? Right now, it'll cost you 8 life to get Campbell off the field if you don't just burn him out immediately.
But don't forget, there's also Thalia there. Every spell costing 1 is huge.
Right.
So the combo that I was actually talking about is there. Gonna ditch a Pheonix because he has cards in hand.
And he got his Blood Moon back.
Unfortunately, Jonatron is one of our viewers right now and not one of our casters. But I will relay your feelings to him quick pick. You know, all of John's fans are quite brutal to him, unfortunately. Poor John.
Poor John. Okay, so yeah, now, so our Laserbird player has to do something here. You might have to risk the life. You got to get the bounce off.
What did he just do?
He emptied his hand.
And made what? What are those tokens?
I assume they're human tokens or something. Those are +1/+1 counters or something. I'm not entirely sure. Why are you not a mod? I'm not entirely sure. Quick pick.
There's a lightning bolt coming out, and it's going to hit
Oh,
Thalia.
yeah.
That was expected, of course.
If there's another one in hand, it needs to go to Campbell.
Actually, it can't go to Campbell. Campbell has a +1/+1 counter. He is a 3/4 right now. That is a big dude.
No, those are much too large for casino dice.
Nice. That's an opt. Gonna be 2 life going back to Lucas. There's another opt. And he has enough mana. If he casts one more spell, it bounces everything.
Except for the 2 things in the ice.
It's true. It's not going to be enough damage to kill Lucas, though.
Nope, gonna be just shy. Yeah, he does lean over the table a bit much. You can see the top of his head.
That's lightning. That's going to be just enough damage. Once again, Scott going real low there, but humans just not being able to stay on top of those things in the ice this time.
And every now and again, you just got to go with the alternate win condition. Ladies and gentlemen, this game is going to go to Scott, and he is going to take the tourney. And that is going to be it for the Friday Night Magic Modern event here at Nexus Esports in historic downtown Waco. No, he did not. His opponent did. I am actually going to go grab his opponent, and we are going to talk about his iteration of Izzet Pheonixes.
That amazing Pyromancer's Ascension.
Yes, most definitely. So stick around, and we'll be back here in a few minutes for the post-tournament interview. And ladies and gentlemen, we are back, and today we have Mr. Scott Kelly, who just finished 4-0 in the Friday night Modern Magic event here at Nexus Esports in historic downtown Waco, Texas. Scott, thank you for coming in and giving this interview with us. Alrighty, so you went 4-0 with Izzet Pheonixes tonight. I usually call it Laserbird myself, right? It's a solid name, right? Got a lot of laser-like effects on those tail feathers. Great card. First and foremost, whenever I have Izzet Pheonixes in here, I like to discuss the fact that that card came out and was printed and was considered a junk mythic. Yeah.
It was basically for an amount of time.
Yeah. How much did you pick up yours for?
Fortunately, I jumped on the train too late. So
20 plus. Yeah, we have a player here who has a full foil set for under 10. Yeah, no, they're going to be worth some money. So we've seen some changes to this in both modern and standard, because I'm sure you're aware this deck is also being very much run in standard. First game, no thing in the ice. Didn't see a single one. We saw Pyromancer's Ascension instead. An old enchantment from the original Zendikar recently got a reprinting. I haven't seen that on any meta tier lists or anything like that. What made you throw that in there?
well, so it is starting to be worked in now, just as additional fiddling 11 should be. Appcaster. Pyromancer Ascension is as a, as people realized how powerful it can be.
Not easily a playset worthy card, in my opinion.
So I'm only playing 2 right now. There are some people.
I don't blame
as we
them at
saw
all.
in game 1.
Yeah, no, most definitely. With only the 2 quest counters needing to go on there, and they don't come off, right? They never come off, right? Most things that do stuff like this, you take a counter off when you start to pop off. This one's like, nah, just keep going, homie. And it's definitely a weird setup. Oh, apparently you're cutting out a lot here. Let's see if we can adjust your microphone and your headset a little bit there. Get that real close to your mouth. These things are awful sensitive. Go give us a test. 1 2 1 2. Yeah, go ahead, and you're gonna have to project.
1 2.
There you
okay,
go.
I'll project.
There's your voice right there on this line.
Okay, I'll talk louder.
There we go. Alrighty. So the Pyromancer's Ascension was good. Game 2, we saw the things in the ice come in. Were those sideboarded in, or are they mainboard?
No, those are main deck cards. Just game 1, I didn't draw one.
No, you really didn't.
Well, he also had Meddling Mage on thing. So I did actually scry one to the bottom during the game.
Okay, I guess I just didn't catch that. I can't see everything on the screen here. So what are the matchups going for you like? What is our primary thing that we don't want to be seated across from at the table?
So enemy number 1 is definitely the Amulet Titan deck. Amulet of Vigor, shenanigans with the Kuru lands that tap for 2 mana. Don't want to play against that. It's just a very linear deck that I can't really interact with.
Understandable. Everything else that you're happy to see?
For the most part, so Tron is also a rough matchup. Outside of those, I'd say everything is at least 50-50, if not better.
That's really good. That's really good. Now, we did see some kind of trouble with 5-color humans there. I'm sure you weren't expecting the Camball Council of... we had them pulled up. Mister, every time you play something that's not a creature, you lose 2 and they gain 2.
Yeah, that card is definitely not something I want to be sitting across from. Also, in Game 2, just throughout the course of the game, I didn't see a single removal spell at all. So
no bolt, no axe.
Yeah, no bolt, no axe, no abrades. I had an Anger of the Gods that would have been really good to draw there when he had 7 or 8 creatures out.
Before they started getting all pumped up and everything like that.
But yeah, just didn't draw any removal and he killed me. So that's sort of how that matchup goes.
That happens. You still took it in 3.
I did.
What do you think about that humans creature control setup though? Thalia and Campbell really do slow you down. At that point, it's going to cost you 2 mana just to get Thalia off the board. That's going to cost you 2 life. If Campbell has a counter on him, that's going to be 2 more spells. Like, you really do start coming up resource negative at that point. What do you do in that situation?
Yeah, so if they have a draw like that with both the Cabal and the Thalia, that can be really rough. taxing my spells, both with life and mana. As we saw in game 2, it was just too much. Like, I couldn't really beat. So that in combination with he drew 2 Reflector Mages that game. Yeah.
Sneaky little card, isn't it?
Yeah, can't really beat that. That was a really good draw from the humans matchup. That's how they get me. If they don't draw those kind of block pieces, though, it's usually a decent matchup, especially if I can bounce a thing or flip a thing in the eye.
Right. 4-0 tonight, very impressive. All right, has the deck been performing for you a lot like that at other tournaments, or is this the first time you're really bringing it out in a competitive setting?
No, so I've been playing it for like probably a month and a half or 2 months now. I played it at SCG Regionals, finished X and 2 there with it, and then I played it at the Hunter Burton Memorial. Made day 2 with it there. And I've been playing it to 3-1, 4-0 finishes on FNMs and other Magic modern tournaments.
That's good. That's actually really good stats. And the fact that you're going to nationally recognized tournaments and you made it to day 2, all right, that's real solid. I'd say keep it up. Any suggestions for anybody who was maybe getting into Modern for the first time? Is this a good deck to start off at, or?
It's got a lot of intricacies to it. I personally would not recommend starting off with this as your first Modern deck, just because there's a lot of lines of play that maybe as a newer Modern player you might not see. If you did want to play Arclight Pheonix, I'd suggest the mono-red Arclight Pheonix deck. It's very linear. It's just a bunch of burn spells. You still get to play Arclight Phoenixes if that's your card of choice. But it just gives you less decision trees, so it's harder to mess up. And then once you get more comfortable with the format, you could branch off and add the blue to the deck.
Sounds like solid advice. Last question before I let you go for the evening. Optimal 7. You draw 7 cards, what are you looking at?
Optimal 7 is probably going to be two Arclight Phoenixes, a Faithless Looting, Manamorphose. If we want to be really greedy, we'll just Surgical Extraction, just so we can get the Arclight Phoenixes back on turn 2.
So 2 lands.
Just any 3 spells with 2 Arclight Phoenixes in the yard, bringing back 2 Phoenixes on turn 2. It's really hard to lose from there. That's a really quick clock. And that's usually how the deck is able to beat its bad matchups, either Titan or Tron.
Outstanding. Well, thank you very much for that. Thank you for your time, and congratulations on your win.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you. And ladies and gentlemen, that will conclude things for tonight's Friday Night Magic Modern event here at Nexus Esports. We will see you next week.